the Barren Woman who stole a baby from the shrine, the woman without a child. In the ancient kingdom of Ile Arin, where the red earth carried the footprints of generations and the wind whispered stories of ancestors long gone, life moved in sacred rhythm. At sunrise, farmers sang to the soil, believing the land listened. At sunset, elders gathered beneath the great Iroko tree, their voices weaving history into memory. Children ran freely through compounds, their laughter rising like birds into the sky. But beyond the laughter, past the last compound, where life seemed to end, stood a quiet hut, forgotten, isolated, and heavy with silence. That was where Erelu lived. Once she had been admired. Her beauty had been spoken of in marketplaces, her laughter known to light up gatherings. She had married a strong hunter, a man who promised her a home filled with children and joy, but seasons came and went. Rain fell, harvest passed, and her womb remained silent. In Ila Erin, a child was more than a blessing. It was a continuation of lineage, a return of the ancestors. To be without one was to stand outside the circle of life. The whispers began softly. Perhaps the gods have closed her womb. Maybe she carries a hidden curse. Soon the whispers became distance. Women avoided her. Children were pulled away from her presence. Invitations disappeared. Her name faded from conversations. At night, Relu sat beside a dim oil lamp, her hands resting on her empty lap. She spoke quietly, not out of anger, but out of pain. I have honored the gods. Hey, why have they not remembered me? The wind passed through her hut, but it did not answer, and slowly a dangerous feeling began to grow inside her heart. Not just sorrow, but emptiness. The night the shrine spoke. At the center of Ile Erin stood the palace, strong and unshaken, its walls marked with symbols of power and ancestry. King Adesina ruled from within, a man respected by his people and guided by a tradition. But even kings cannot command destiny. For many years, the palace had waited for an. The queen, Olori Sad, carried this burden in silence, her smile hiding the weight of expectation. Then, one night, the sky grew restless. Thunder rolled across the heavens. The wind circled the palace like a warning. Inside the birthing chamber, priestesses chanted ancient invocations, their voices rising and falling like waves. Herbs burned, filling the air with sacred smoke. The queen cried out as life fought its way into the world. Outside, the king waited, his steps restless, his heart pounding like a war drum. Then a cry, strong, alive. The child had arrived. Relief spread, but only for a moment, for the chief priestess, Mama Arike, entered with urgency in her eyes. This child must go to the shrine, she said, immediately. No celebration, no delay. Deep within the sacred forest, where no ordinary man dared walk at night, stood the shrine of the ancestors. There, Mama Arike cast the sacred cowries. They did not fall gently, they scattered violently. Her body trembled, her voice changed, and when she spoke, it was no longer her own. This child carries the weight of destiny, the spirit declared. The king stood frozen. She will either raise this kingdom to glory or bring it to ruin. The queen gasped. The elder stepped back, and in that moment, fear entered the kingdom. The decision of fear. Morning came with no peace. The council gathered beneath the ancient baobab tree where decisions shaped the future of Ilearin. The king spoke the prophecy. Silence followed. General Ogunle stepped forward. We cannot take such a risk. Others agreed. Fear spread like fire. But Mama Arike spoke calmly. The prophecy warns against fear, not the child. Her words were heard but not accepted. Chief Elder Falade added, the people must not know. Fear will destroy us. Before the prophecy does, the debate grew heated. Some suggested exile, others whispered death. The king stood torn between fatherhood and leadership. Then he made his choice. She will live, hope flickered, but she will not be known. And just like that, fear became law.
The child in the shrine. The princess was named Aduni, but only in whispers. She was raised inside the shrine walls, surrounded by sacred carvings and flickering lamps, yet denied the world beyond. She heard laughter, but never joined it. She saw sunlight, but never felt it freely. Servants avoided her gaze, guards kept their distance. Even her mother visited in secret. She grew in beauty, but also in loneliness, and has a way of shaping the soul. Signs of power. By her 10th season, the world began to respond to her. Wind moved when she cried. Fire flickered when she grew angry. She dreamed of ancestors calling her name. Aduni, she woke with questions no one answered. She was not just different. She was something the world did not understand. The woman who heard Arelu heard whispers in the marketplace. A child in the shrine, a child of power. Her heart awakened. Hope returned, but twisted, because desperation had already taken root. The deal with darkness. Arelu sought forbidden spirits, not the ancestors, but those who answered desperate prayers. Take what is not given, they whispered, and she listened. The night of theft. Under darkness, she entered the shrine. Duni slept peacefully. Arelu trembled. I will love you. She took the child, and everything changed. Balance breaks. The fire in the shrine died. The wind turned violent. The priestess screamed. The child is gone, and the kingdom began to fall. A false mother. Arelu held the child, smiling through tears. I am no longer empty, but the child's eyes glowed, and the world outside trembled. The kingdom suffers. Crops failed, rivers dried, illness spread. The elders knew balance had been. The warrior's journey. Durojaye followed the signs. Wind, silence, shadows. They led him to truth. The confrontation. Arelu refused to surrender. I just wanted a child. Her pain shook even the warrior. Power awakens. He stepped forward. The storm rose, but her eyes held calm. The prophecy revealed. The priestess spoke. The child is not destruction. Fear is. The choice all watched. Would she destroy or forgive? Mercy. She chose compassion, and the storm ended. Restoration. The child returned. Balance restored. A kingdom changed. The king confessed. Fear had nearly destroyed them. The moral. The greatest danger is not destiny. It is fear.
If you enjoyed the story of A Baby from the Shrine, the Barren Woman Who Stole, like this video and subscribe for more African legends and forgotten histories. Share this story and tell us in the comments which African legend we should tell next.